The Harvest Man, Act 1. The arrival. The first thing Rachel noticed about Miller's Hollow was the silence. The air itself seemed to hang heavy, even though the late September sky was bright and full of drifting clouds. She leaned out of the pickup window, hair whipping against her face, and stared at the endless fields of corn that hemmed the dirt road. The stalks stood too tall, too healthy, considering the scorched earth and drought warnings they'd seen in the rest of the county. It was as though the plants here drank something stronger than water. "Creepiest place," muttered Jason, her boyfriend, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "And we're really doing this, huh?" Rachel smiled faintly, though it didn't reach her eyes. "We don't have much choice." The bank had made that clear. Months behind on bills, Jason's carpentry business circling the drain, her own work-from-home job gutted by layoffs. When the real estate listing had appeared in old farmhouse outside Miller's Hollow, dirt cheap, they hadn't thought twice. A fresh start, a place where no one knew them. Jason squinted through the windshield as the house came into view. It loomed at the edge of the field, blackened timbers rising against the sky. The structure had burned decades ago, yet somehow still stood, its skeleton fused into a grotesque shape. The upper floors were gone, but the stone foundation remained, cracked and scarred. Someone had nailed sheets of tin over gaping windows, and what was left of the roof slanted like a broken jaw. "You're kidding me," Jason muttered. Rachel swallowed. The pictures online hadn't looked this bad. But there was something about the place. A pull in her chest, a heaviness in her lungs. She told herself it was just nerves. They parked by the gate, the rusted hinges squealing as Jason pushed it open. A smell wafted toward them, damp soil, rot, and something metallic. "Place smells like a butcher shop," Jason said. Rachel forced a laugh. "It's just the country. Smells different out here." But her stomach churned as she stepped onto the path, weeds crunching beneath her boots. Inside, the farmhouse was worse. The walls were charred black, streaked with soot that never seemed to fade. Floorboards groaned underfoot. In some rooms, ash still clung in corners like cobwebs. And yet, there were signs of recent life. A chair pulled close to the cold fireplace. A cracked plate on the counter, flecked with something dark. Candles melted into the floorboards. Rachel frowned. "The realtor said no one's lived here since the fire." Jason scratched the back of his neck. "Maybe squatters?" She wanted to believe that, but her skin prickled as if the house itself were watching. That night, they unpacked sleeping bags in the living room, too tired to care about the soot. Jason cracked open a beer, muttering about the repairs it would take. Rachel tried to read by flashlight, but her eyes kept drifting to the boarded windows. Somewhere in the corn, something moved. At first, it was just a whisper, stalks brushing together. Then came the crunch of footsteps, heavy, deliberate. Jason sat up, frowning. "Hear that?" Before Rachel could answer, a low scrape echoed against the tin-covered window, metal groaning like fingernails on a coffin lid. They froze. The scrape dragged once, twice, then silence. Jason grabbed the flashlight, bolted to the window, and ripped aside the tin. He shone the beam into the field. Nothing but corn, swaying slightly in the breeze. But Rachel could have sworn, just for an instant, she saw a figure standing there. Too tall, its head crowned with something jagged, like antlers made of bone. The next morning, Rachel went into town for supplies. Miller's Hollow barely qualified as a town at all. A single main street lined with boarded-up shops, a diner that looked 50 years past its prime, and a hardware store that smelled of rust. Inside the diner, heads turned when she entered. Conversations faltered. She slid into a booth, cheeks burning. A waitress shuffled over, her face a map of deep lines. "You're the one bought the farmhouse," the woman said flatly, not a question. Rachel nodded. "Yeah, I'm Rachel." The waitress didn't offer her name. She set down a chipped mug of coffee, hands trembling slightly. "You'd best be gone before the harvest." Rachel blinked. "The what?" The woman's eyes darted to the other patrons, who quickly looked away. She lowered her voice. "This town, it ain't like others. That land you're on ain't meant for living." Rachel forced a laugh, but her stomach twisted. "You mean the fire?" "We're not superstitious." The woman's jaw clenched. "Fire was the least of it. Folks been taken. Every autumn some come back in pieces. Some don't come back at all." Rachel's throat went dry. The waitress leaned closer, breath hot with coffee. "He walks when the corn is tall. The harvest man. And if you've gone and stirred him awake—" She trailed off, straightening as another customer called her over. Her eyes, though, never left Rachel's. Rachel left the diner without finishing her coffee. Back at the farmhouse, Jason was hammering loose boards into place. "This place is a money pit," he muttered. Rachel hesitated, then told him about the waitress. About the harvest man. Jason rolled his eyes. "Small towns live on ghost stories. Don't let it get to you." But that night, as they tried to sleep, Rachel couldn't shake the feeling of eyes watching from the corn. The sound of stalks whispering in the wind. The scrape of nails against tin. And once again, just before dawn, she heard her name in the dark, soft, low, drawn out like a promise. "Roche."